All right, Steelers Nation, let's dive right in. But before we do, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. The Pittsburgh Steelers are working harder than ever to improve, tweak every unit, and make the right moves to keep this team trending upward. And today, we've got a major update on a fresh face joining the black and gold. Plus, big injury news that could change how the defense looks heading into the Browns game. So let's break it all down because this one's packed with excitement. The Pittsburgh Steelers are shaking things up in the running back room ahead of Week 6 against the Cleveland Browns. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, the team has officially signed Raheem Blackshere, formerly of the Carolina Panthers, to the practice squad. Now, at first glance, this might look like a quiet depth move, but if you take a closer look, this signing could actually have sneaky big implications for both the offense and special teams. Blackshere brings versatility, speed, and return game experience that Pittsburgh desperately needs right now, especially with Calvin Austin III sidelined due to that shoulder injury he suffered in Week 4 versus the Minnesota Vikings. Let's rewind a bit. Blackshere started his college career at Rutgers back in 2017. In his very first year, he flashed some real potential. Nearly 400 yards, total yards, and a few touchdowns. But it was his sophomore year that put him on the radar. Over 950 yards from scrimmage and 5 scores. Then came the transfer to Virginia Tech in 2020. That's where he evolved into a more complete back. His final season in 2021 was his best. 765 yards rushing, 6 touchdowns, and he added plenty as a receiver too. After going undrafted in 2022, Blackshere signed with the Buffalo Bills, but didn't make the active roster right away. Then, the Carolina Panthers saw something in him and signed him off Buffalo's practice squad, and he made the most of that opportunity. Over 2 seasons with Carolina, Blackshere played in 41 games, contributing not only as a rusher, but also as a kick returner. He racked up 1,734 kick return yards, and that's where the Steelers' interest really kicks in. Let's be real. The Steelers have been dealing with a string of injuries and inconsistency in their return game. With Calvin Austin III out, the team's options were running thin. Trey Sermon stepped in to handle returns in recent games, but his results have been hit or miss. Just 2 kick returns for 51 yards. Pittsburgh needed someone with natural return instincts, and Blackshere fits that mold perfectly. He's compact, explosive, and fearless with the ball in his hands. And here's what's key. Blackshere gives the Steelers flexibility. He's not expected to leapfrog Jaylen Warren or Kenneth Gainwell for offensive touches, but his special teams value could earn him a game day elevation sooner rather than later. Remember, this is the same guy who averaged over 26 yards per kick return in the NFL. That's elite territory. This signing isn't just about filling a hole. It's about staying ready. The Steelers front office, led by Omar Khan, is clearly being proactive. They know injuries can hit fast, and they're building insurance across every position. With Najee Harris traded earlier in the year, depth behind Warren and Gainwell is crucial. Blackshere may start on the practice squad, but with the way this team uses his roster flexibility, don't be surprised if he's active by Week 6 or Week 7, especially if the coaching staff wants to test his return ability under real game pressure. Now, while the offense gets a little extra depth, the defense just got a major shot of good news. After the early bye week, Pittsburgh got to sit back and watch every AFC North rival lose. A perfect weekend for the black and gold. But the real win came on Monday when 2 key defenders returned to practice, Alex Highsmith and Joey Porter Jr. According to Joe Rutter of TribLive.com, both players participated in the team's bonus practice session and are expected to play in Week 6 against the Browns. Highsmith, who's been out since Week 2 with a high ankle sprain, hasn't practiced in weeks, so seeing him back out there is massive. Before his injury, he was producing at a high level. 8 tackles, 7 pressures, and 1 sack through the first 2 games. And if you remember his history versus the Cleveland Browns, you know he owns that matchup. 9 sacks in 9 games against the Browns, plus a pick 6 last season. Even if he's on a limited snap count Sunday, just having him back on the field gives this defense a whole new energy. Then there's Joey Porter Jr. The young corner hasn't played since week 1 after pulling his hamstring against the Jets, but the bye week came at the perfect time. He told reporters this week, "I'm back for sure." That's music to Steelers fans' ears, because Pittsburgh's secondary has been patching things together since Jalen Ramsey went down in week 4 with a similar injury. Ramsey's absence hurts, no question, but Porter Jr. sliding back into the rotation is a huge boost. He's hungry, motivated, and out to prove he can bounce back from what many call the sophomore slump in 2024. He'll rejoin a cornerback group that includes veterans Darius Slay and Brandon Etchels. And you can bet defensive coordinator Terrell Austin is already scheming up ways to put his playmaking ability to use immediately. Steelers fans, let's take a step back and look at the big picture. Pittsburgh enters Week 6 sitting on top of the AFC North, rested, healthier, and with reinforcements on both sides of the ball. The timing couldn't be better. Raheem Blackshere adds depth and special teams upside. Joey Porter Jr. and Alex Highsmith return to stabilize the defense, and the Browns game presents a chance to keep building separation in the division. It feels like the Steelers are turning a corner, right? The bye week was all about reflection and recovery. Now it's about execution. And with Mike Tomlin emphasizing discipline and adaptability, this team looks ready to build on the momentum.
Before the bye week, Austin had already made several explosive plays, the kind that flip momentum, the kind that Rodgers loves. Losing that element would mean Pittsburgh's offense suddenly looks a lot different. But this isn't the first time Austin's battled through injuries. Remember, he missed most of the preseason with that oblique injury, which slowed his ramp up before the season even started. Now, with a shoulder issue piling on top, the young receiver can't seem to catch a break. Here's the thing. This couldn't come at a worse time for Calvin Austin personally. He's in the final year of his rookie contract, which means this season was supposed to be his statement year, his chance to prove he deserves a new deal or a long-term future in Pittsburgh. The Steelers were counting on him to solidify that WR2 spot, complement Metcalf, and take some pressure off the run game. Instead, he's now facing a recovery timeline that could derail his momentum and open the door for others to step up. Make no mistake, this is a critical stretch not just for the team, but for Austin's career. Every game he misses could affect his future role and value heading into free agency. So what does this mean for Aaron Rodgers and this Steelers offense? Rodgers, who's been nothing short of a calming veteran presence since joining the team, will now have to get creative. Without Austin, the passing attack loses some of its burst and spacing. Defenses might start rolling coverage toward Metcalf, daring Pittsburgh's secondary receivers to beat them. And that's where things get interesting, because the Steelers do have internal options ready to step up. Let's start with Scotty Miller. When Austin went down in Ireland, it was Miller who saw increased offensive snaps. Now, he hasn't recorded a catch yet this season, but if there's one thing we know about him, it's that he can step up when his name is called. Miller's not the biggest or fastest player on the field, but he's shifty, he's got that quick first step, and he knows how to find soft spots in coverage. Sound familiar? That's exactly how Austin made his mark early in his career. If Rodgers and offensive coordinator Matt Canada can design a few quick-hitting plays to get Miller in space, bubble screens, jet motions, or slant routes, he could easily become a short-term spark plug in the passing game. And Steelers Nation, let's not forget, Miller has postseason experience and chemistry with veteran QBs from his days in Tampa Bay. He knows how to prepare, and he knows what it takes to earn trust in a crowded wide receiver room. Then there's Ben Skowronek. The 5-year veteran has quietly become a steady contributor in Pittsburgh. He's not flashy, but he's dependable. And when Rodgers needs a target on a crucial third down, Skowronek can be that guy. He already saw an increase in playing time when Austin exited in Week 4. And don't forget, he was the beneficiary of a touchdown from Rodgers back in Week 1. That kind of connection matters. If Austin ends up on injured reserve, expect Skowronek to see a major uptick in snaps, especially on intermediate routes and blocking assignments. He's got size, strength, and good hands. Still, let's be honest here. You can't simply replace Calvin Austin's explosiveness. His ability to stretch the field changes how defenses play. When he's on the field, safeties have to stay deep. Linebackers can't crowd the box, and the run game opens up naturally. Without him, the Steelers may need to rely more heavily on tight end sets and short yardage passing concepts. We could see a heavier dose of Pat Freiermuth and Jaylen Warren catching passes out of the backfield. This is where Aaron Rodgers' leadership will be tested. His ability to adapt and elevate everyone around him, that's why the Steelers brought him in. As for Austin himself, he's staying optimistic but realistic. The day-to-day label sounds positive on paper, but the uncertainty about the injured reserve is hard to ignore. If he ends up needing extended rest, the Steelers will likely lean on a rotation of Miller, Skoranek, and perhaps even elevate a player from the practice squad. One thing's for sure, Mike Tomlin and Omar Khan won't rush him back. The Steelers know how valuable Austin is when healthy, and they'll want to make sure he's 100% before he returns. So, Steelers Nation, what do you think about this move? Do you believe Raheem Blackshere could become the next underrated weapon in Pittsburgh's backfield? Maybe even the surprise return man who flips a few games with his speed? And with Porter Jr. and Highsmith returning, how confident are you that this defense can dominate the Browns in Week 6 and hold that AFC North lead? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear from you. And as always, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. This team is on the rise, Steelers fans, and trust me, the best football is still ahead. Here we go, Steelers!